Two traditions that should have nothing in common. Scandinavian design, pale, restrained, built for long dark winters. West African textile tradition, bold, geometric, built around color and pattern as celebration. Afro Scandinavian fusion proves they were never actually in conflict. The entryway introduces the principle that the rest of the apartment will follow with total consistency. Scandinavian tradition governs the architecture of the space, and West African textile tradition governs its surface. The bench by the door is pure Scandinavian form. Low, pale ash wood, exposed joinery, offset from center exactly the way Nordic entryway tradition recommends to keep the space feeling light rather than crowded. Sitting on that bench is a single woven cushion in a bold geometric pattern drawn from a can weaving tradition, black, ochre, and deep red forms repeating in a rhythm that has nothing structurally Scandinavian about it, and everything visually West African. The bench does not compromise to accommodate the cushion. It simply provides the calm, restrained platform that the pattern needs to be readable rather than overwhelming. This is the entryway's lesson, stated as plainly as it will be anywhere in the apartment. The two traditions are not blended into a third, compromised style. They are layered, one providing structure, the other providing richness. And the fact that they were never historically related to each other is precisely why the layering works. Neither tradition is diluting the other. The living room is the room where this fusion faces its most direct test, because it has to resolve a question that seems contradictory at first. How does bold geometric textile pattern, drawn from a tradition built around visual richness, sit comfortably inside a Scandinavian space built around restraint? The answer is proportion and frequency, not absence. The walls remain pale and unadorned, pure Scandinavian restraint, doing nothing to compete with anything else in the room. Against that quiet backdrop, one item carries the geometric pattern at full strength. A large mudcloth-inspired throw across the sofa, its bold black and white geometric forms reading clearly because they have an entire plain wall and an entire plain floor to be seen against. A second, smaller pattern appears once more on a single floor cushion in a complementary but distinct geometric motif. The room contains exactly two instances of bold pattern and an otherwise completely Scandinavian structure of pale wood, natural light, and clean lines around them. This is the mechanism. West African pattern reads as rich rather than chaotic specifically because Scandinavian restraint gives it room to be read one motif at a time, rather than competing with 5 other patterns in the same field of view. The kitchen leans almost entirely Scandinavian in its bones. Open pale wood shelving, function dictating every layout decision. A worktop kept clear because Nordic design treats an uncluttered kitchen as a practical necessity rather than an aesthetic choice. This is the room where the fusion structural half does almost all the talking. West African influence enters here through a single, deliberate channel: ceramics. A row of hand-thrown bowls and serving dishes in warm terracotta, ochre, and deep rust tones. Colors pulled directly from the earth pigments used in traditional West African pottery and dyeing. Sits on the open shelving as the kitchen's only departure from Scandinavian pale neutrality. This is the kitchen's specific contribution to the apartment's larger argument. A room can be almost entirely governed by one tradition's structural logic and still carry the other tradition's presence clearly, as long as the channel for that presence is deliberate and consistent rather than scattered. One warm color family, appearing only in the objects that hold food, is enough to make the West African half of this apartment's identity legible even in its most functionally Scandinavian room. The The bedroom inverts the ratio found in every other room. Where the living room and kitchen lean Scandinavian with West African accents, the bedroom leans the other way, and it does so through a single, considered architectural decision. The headboard wall is fully covered in a large-scale woven textile panel, geometric pattern running floor to ceiling behind the bed in deep indigo, rust, and cream. Everything else in the room pulls back to Scandinavian minimums specifically to support this one decision. The bed frame is the simplest possible pale wood platform. The bedside tables are bare except for a single lamp each. The floor is left uncovered. This is not pattern competing with restraint. It is restraint deliberately clearing every other surface so that one wall can carry the full visual weight of the West African half of the fusion without needing to compete with anything. The bedroom demonstrates a principle the rest of the apartment only implies. When one tradition is given complete control of one element, the other tradition does not need to retreat from the room. It needs to retreat from every other surface, so that the one expression of richness has the entire room's restraint working in its favor rather than against it. The reading corner takes a different approach to the same underlying question, and in doing so reveals a second mechanism the apartment relies on beyond color and pattern. Texture can carry West African identity just as effectively as visible geometric motif. A low Scandinavian form armchair, pale wood frame and simple lines, is layered with raffia and woven grass fiber cushions, natural materials with deep roots in West African craft tradition. But in this corner, used almost entirely without bold color or pattern, relying instead on the specific tactile roughness and visible hand-weave structure of the fiber itself. The result reads as warm and richly textured without introducing a single new color or motif to a room that otherwise stays close to the apartment's pale, Scandinavian baseline. This corner is the apartment's proof that the fusion does not require pattern in every room to remain legible. Texture, sourced honestly from craft tradition rather than pattern alone, can carry exactly the same cultural and visual weight while keeping the room calmer than the living room or bedroom. The bathroom, like every smallest room in a fusion concept, tests whether the underlying principle survives compression, and here the apartment relies on its most minimal possible expression of West African influence. A single hand-thrown ceramic vessel, in the same warm ochre family used in the kitchen, holding rolled towels on an otherwise entirely Scandinavian shelf of pale wood and white tile. One object, one consistent warm tone, repeated from a room 2 spaces away, creating a quiet thread that connects the bathroom back to the kitchen without requiring the bathroom to introduce any new pattern, texture, or color family of its own. This is the most economical version of the fusion principle in the entire apartment, and it demonstrates something the larger rooms cannot. The fusion does not require every room to contain its own complete expression of both traditions. It requires every room to participate in a consistent thread that runs through the whole apartment, and sometimes participation is as small as one ceramic vessel in the right color. The workspace demonstrates the fusion at its most evenly balanced, because work surfaces demand the functional clarity of Scandinavian design while still benefiting from the warmth that prevents a desk from feeling sterile. The desk itself is unmistakably Nordic, Pale ash, straight legs, a surface kept almost entirely clear except for what is actively in use. Above it, a single piece of West African textile art is framed and hung at eye level. Not a large gesture, but a specific geometric weaving in warm rust and cream tones, given its own clear wall space with nothing competing around it. The desk lamp is brass, warm in tone, bridging both traditions visually without belonging exclusively to either. This room shows the fusion working at a 1-to-1 ratio rather than the ratios found elsewhere in the apartment. Roughly equal visual weight given to Scandinavian function and West African warmth, neither dominating, both clearly present. It is proof that the fusion does not always need one tradition to lead. Sometimes the two simply share the room evenly, and the apartment feels no less coherent for it. The hallway is the smallest space in the apartment and the one most easily skipped in any design discussion, but it carries the single visual thread that makes every other room's individual ratio of Scandinavian to West African feel like one coherent home rather than 8 separate experiments. A narrow runner in a simplified geometric pattern, fewer colors and a looser repeat than the bold mudcloth-inspired throw in the living room, but clearly drawn from the same visual family, lines the hallway floor between rooms. It is quieter than anything in the living room or bedroom, but it repeats the specific black, ochre, and rust palette found throughout the apartment, and that repetition is what allows a visitor to walk from the almost entirely Scandinavian kitchen to the West African, dominant bedroom, without the transition feeling abrupt. The hallway proves the apartment's final and most important point. A fusion this ambitious does not hold together because every room contains the same amount of each tradition. It holds together because one consistent, quietly repeated thread, here, a single palette and a related pattern family, runs underneath every room's individual decision about how much of each tradition to let in. Walk through every room of this apartment, and one argument becomes visible that no single room makes on its own. Scandinavian design and West African textile tradition were never in tension to begin with, because they were never trying to solve the same problem. Scandinavian tradition is a response to light, space, and climate, a set of decisions about architecture, proportion, and restraint. West African textile and craft tradition is a response to color, pattern, and meaning, a set of decisions about surface, texture, and visual storytelling. A room can be governed by one set of decisions and decorated by the other without contradiction, because architecture and surface are not competing for the same visual territory. They are answering entirely different questions. This is the actual mechanism behind every successful cultural fusion in interior design, not just this one. It rarely works by blending two traditions into a diluted third style. It works by letting one tradition handle the bones of a room and the other handle its skin, and trusting that two traditions with nothing historically in common can still divide that labor cleanly, because neither was ever trying to do the other's job. Subscribe for more interior design videos, and tell us in the comments, does this fusion work for you, or does one tradition pull too hard against the other?